Over the last few days, I've been struggling quite a bit. And honestly, I got a little too focused on one nutrition goal and kind of neglected the others. Let's talk about it. So if you've been here for a little while and you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that a few weeks ago, month ago, 2 months ago, I can't even remember at this point, I got super stopped up. I was constipated. It was around a couple weeks after I had started eating solid food, had an open menu, and I wasn't taking into consideration the fact that I have to have fiber. So I got super stopped up. It took me a while to deal with that. After that week, it was like a week of dealing with it. I actually went down to like 11 pounds because I barely ate anything that week. Anyway, it was an experience. Unfortunately, I've had a similar experience the last few days. Not happy about it. I noticed it a lot sooner and I took action a lot sooner. I learned a lot from this one experience, but thankfully I'm feeling a lot better. And this is something that's like, it's embarrassing to post about. It's embarrassing to talk about, but I think it's important to share struggles that you go through, because one thing I've noticed in I'm in a few different Facebook groups for bariatric patients. The only one I really post in is the one that I actually connected with people through the doctor's office, and my nutritionist is a part of that group, so it's like a local one. But I'm part of a few other groups, and it seems like so many people, there's so many different like issues people can have or struggles people can have, and everybody's journey is so different. And like people will say that they have this issue or that issue. My brain is blanking on some of those issues. And I'm thinking, well, I didn't have to deal with that. I didn't have to deal with that. I didn't do that. Like, that wasn't a thing for me. But this is a thing that's happened to me twice now. And I feel like because that is the case, I feel like it would be helpful to share it in case someone else needs this information, or if you want to avoid the situation. So yeah, Thursday, I think, is the day that I've realized that something wasn't quite right. And so like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today's Sunday, I really haven't eaten a whole lot, because it's like once everything is already like held up by something, it's like the last thing I want to do to add to the mess. So I'm going to be curious about what my weigh-in is tomorrow, but, yeah, so anyway, back on track here. So the last few days have not been fun. This is not a fun experience. It's a painful experience. But thankfully, I feel like I've learned some things from this experience. I did learn something the last time too, but I feel like I was kind of loosey-goosey about some of it. And then I had a really good conversation with my nutritionist and kind of how I want to move forward. So let's talk about all of that. So thankfully, I had already had an appointment set up with my nutritionist on Friday. So that was like perfect. As soon as things were happening, I was like, I need to talk to her about this. We need to have a conversation, because obviously I learned something the last time. We had a big hot conversation about fiber, because that was probably the reason it happened the last time, because I was eating a lot of protein, and protein definitely stops you up. And I hadn't really thought about fiber or whatever, but apparently I still have some room to grow in that area. And so that was one thing we talked about. One thing we talked about was adding in a supplement. I had actually ordered this before I even talked to her, because I was like, I remember her suggesting this, and I was like, I need to need to get some of this. So sun fiber is going to become part of my daily routine for most days, unless my menu is like absolutely like fiber-tastic. But this is going to be a huge part of my regular life now. just to make sure that I'm getting the fiber that I need. This one specifically has 7 grams of fiber, which is amazing. I feel like most, like the Benefiber on the go that I had like 3, maybe 4. So this has 7. So like even on some days I could do half a scoop and help me supplement and get that fiber. The other thing we talked about was that I probably wasn't drinking enough water. I have been struggling to get to the 64 ounces because that's where I should be at this point. I'm still somewhere in between 48 and 56 most days. And she was like, that could also be contributing to where you're at, why this is happening. The other thing we talked about again was about fiber, and I was telling her that 1 week I did really well with fiber. I was averaging in a good like 19-20 grams of fiber every day, and it was like a really good like balanced out week where I was having 18, 22, 22, 20, 17, 21. So I was in a good range, and it wasn't like all over the place. The numbers were pretty close to each other. So average is actually 21 grams. The following week though, I had 13, then 28, then 25, then 18, 15, 8. Like I was like all over the place with the fiber. And I asked her if that would be part of the reason. Like the average is still okay, but the daily count is like the dailies are too far apart from each other. So going from 25 to 8 to 13 to 20 something. And she said that could also contribute to it. So that's good information for me, because my brain was like, as long as you like, if you're losing weight and losing like when you're burning calories, and like it's the average of the week that matters in my brain. But I think having numbers that are closer together when it comes to the fiber might be a little bit more important. But yeah, so really the fiber and the water are the biggest issue. So just to reiterate, I would say if you were to consider what the 3 pillars of success are when it comes to life after bariatric surgery, for me specifically, but potentially for other people too, is getting your protein in. I'm supposed to be at 80 grams now. I need to be getting 80 grams because I need to get my energy up. I need to, prevent as much hair loss as possible, because it's going to happen, but I would like to not lose as much hair. It's really good for feeding the body, for feeding the muscles, and taking care of your insides. Making sure I'm hitting 64 ounces of water, that's huge. I need to do that better. And then making sure I'm hitting fiber and not being like all over the place with my fiber numbers. Like I need to average at least 20, but I need to be closer to 20 most days. If I have 18 and 22 and whatever, I think it's fine, but I think it's time to like really get a little bit more consistent with my fiber and be a little less scattered. So the other thing we talked about was if it's okay in the interim to do stool softeners and laxatives occasionally, just to avoid this situation. It's like I don't want it to be a situation where I feel like I have to do stool softeners and laxatives every day. Like I'm not looking to do that. I've not enjoyed not eating the past few days because I'm actually hungry this time. Last time I was not hungry. This time I'm hungry right now, but I'm like, maybe I can wait. But yeah, I don't want it to be a thing where I'm like, I have to take a laxative every day. I mean, if that's something I have to do, if there's some reason that I have to do that, then fine. But just to keep things from getting so stopped up and painful because it hurts. Just doing that on a regular basis. So I did order, and my nutritionist was like, if it's something you're doing to maintain, she's like, for me personally, and so this is nutritionist advice for myself, so just want to make sure I'm pointing that out. But she said that it was okay. You know, in the long term, she's like, once you get a routine and you're kind of getting things under control and you have a good process for getting your fiber and whatever, all that stuff in, she's like, I don't think you'll need it. But she's like, in the meantime, I don't see a problem with doing it occasionally when you feel like you might need to do it. So I'm not gonna like be like every Saturday I, you know, do this, or every whatever, but I'm gonna be paying attention to, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pay super attention to my BMs, and just kind of keep an eye on those things. But I'm gonna make sure I have things on hand to make sure I'm ready if a situation arises again. So one thing I got was they have these Miralax mix in a pack. So there's 20 of them in there. And instead of having like the jar and then putting the cup or whatever, these are already measured out for you. And I'm just gonna keep this on hand. Like, again, this isn't something I want to do on a regular basis. I'm not looking to consistently taking laxatives. I don't think that's good. You know, it's not something that's a great thing to do, but I think it's something that would be helpful just to keep things okay occasionally, whatever. I also ordered something from Amazon that should be here tomorrow, and I can't remember the name. I think it's called Seno. It's something my nutritionist suggested. I'll put a picture up here for you. But it's spelled SENOKT/S. But I got the dual action one. It's a natural vegetable laxative ingredient. Oh gosh, I can't talk today. A natural vegetable laxative ingredient and stool softener. So it's 2-in-1, which I think is great. And it's constipation relief, but it also is a stool softener, which I think is great. Since my nutritionist suggested that one, I felt like that would be a good thing to have on hand. And she said she had surgery like a long time ago, but she still has it on hand because you just never know how your body's going to react to things, and it's good to be prepared. So I'm going to have that on hand as well. The other thing is, if this happens again, I'm praying that I don't have to go through this like every few weeks. Like, this is awful. This time was way better than the last time. Very thankful that it hasn't been the same experience, because this hasn't been fun by any means. But I did take Miralax. I think I took like 1.5 doses of Miralax on one day, and then I did one dose another day, and then another day I did 2 doses. I feel like if it ever comes to this specific point again where I was at, where it's like painful, I think I'm just gonna go with milk and magnesia off the bat and skip the Miralax, because I feel like I waste days waiting for the Miralax to do something. I feel like the Miralax is something I should be doing occasionally, or if I notice it sooner, maybe it'd be better. But it doesn't seem to do everything that I need it to do when things get to be in a crisis. So I'm gonna have milk of magnesia on hand at all times. But yeah, the last time it took a couple hours to really get anything to happen, and this time it was like an hour, and I was like, relief. So again, super embarrassing to talk about, but I also don't want anybody to feel like, I don't know, you go through this journey and you make these changes and you do this giant step for your health, and then there's all these things that happen that are just like, who do I talk to about this? And you're losing your hair, or your taste buds change, or you're nauseous because of something, or like whatever the issue is you're having after surgery. And it's like, where do you go? And who do you talk to? And sometimes, just even if you're not even having the same experience and you're not having the same issues, like, it's so nice to be able to know that other people are going through it and you're not the only person that's struggling with something with it. Because I don't know, I feel like a lot of people look at those of us who have surgery and are like, you're taking the easy way out, you could do this and do that, and there aren't any struggles, and whatever. And it's like, this is a huge adjustment, and your body's learning how to deal with this new life that you're creating for yourself. And you have to figure out, like, I'm still it's been, tomorrow will be 18 weeks, and I'm still learning about how my body reacts to certain foods. And thankfully I haven't had a lot of major reactions to anything. But, you know, I'm still learning about what my body needs right now, and then still adjusting to the things that I need to be doing that I already know. So, you know, got my water right here and all that. So I just never want someone to be like, you know, we'll talk about the hair loss, and we'll talk about this, and we'll talk about that, but we're not going to talk about constipation. You know, people who have never had weight loss surgery have been constipated, and it's not a fun experience. It's painful. And then if you've had a surgery, you know, that's not an uncommon thing. So, so again, yeah, I kind of have a plan moving forward. Again, I'm not going to be like on a schedule of like when I'm taking certain things. It's going to be like, all right, how am I feeling? How have my BMs been? And just kind of keep a close eye on it, just for the sake of not having to go through this again. And then again, like I'm not suffering again for days with Miralax once it gets to that point. We're taking the hard stuff and getting it over with. So yeah, again, if you're going into surgery, or if you've had surgery, protein goals, fiber goals, and water, those are going to be your 3 best friends. Those are going to be your 3 best friends. Like, you know, you want to make sure you're eating vegetables and fruit, and you want to have certain things. And, you know, working out is definitely another part of it, which I haven't done for 4 days, which absolutely sucks. But it was like, the energy I have, I'm going to use to do chores, and that'll be my workout. So, yeah, I encourage protein, water, fiber. Those are your 3 best friends, and that'll make everything so much easier. Hit those goals, get close to those goals. Like, even with the fiber, if you can't hit 25, just try to get close to 20 every day. That's kind of where I'm going to start out tomorrow. Yeah, it's been a few days. It's been an experience, but it was a good reminder for me, you know, that success after surgery isn't about hitting just one goal. It's about supporting your body and what it needs, and, you know, being consistent in those areas. And it's not about being perfect. It's just about, you know, being close to those goals, you know? So I would just say, if you are post-op, don't make the mistake that I did. Protein is super important, but consider the whole picture when you're trying to go through this journey, because you don't want to lose sight of the things that are going to potentially hurt you later, mentally and physically. Oh goodness. So I hope that encourages you today, and I hope my silliness is acceptable. Have a good day. Hi guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I appreciate it so much. I would love to hear from you. Please comment below, like, comment, share, do all the YouTube-y things. Supports the channel, and I really appreciate that. And I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.